Hi, welcome back. Somebody suggested I prop up my laptop so I don't look like I'm looking down at you, so I've done that. I'm trying something different this time. Today, I'm going to start a very important series concerning budgeting. It's a topic that people have a lot of trouble with. The problems are generally twofold. The most fundamental problem is that an unusually large number of people don't understand what a budget is. Call that problem number one, which mostly is what I want to address today. The second big problem is that there are those who do get the concept of a budget, but they don't have the discipline to adhere to one. Budget breakers are like overeaters. They seem to not be able to help themselves. At least they may think that, but they really can. And I'm here to help you with that. In any case, let's attempt to define budgeting. You know how I get into the two-column thing, the pluses and minuses and valuing things? Well, it's kind of like that. However, in this case, it's inflows and outflows. We could consider different fundamental units for budgeting. It could be an individual, it could be a family, it could be a business, it could be a government, which means that it could be a city, a state, a municipality, the federal government, a country. All such entities have budgets. I think for the sake of our discussion, we will use a base case, a family, since most of us are part of families. So we want to discuss inflows and outflows. To simplify things, let's assume all flows are of a cash nature. In reality, there are other types of family flows, but since we can usually monetize them, then we will ignore that and just consider the cash inflows and outflows. Inflows would include all the different ways cash comes into the family. Most often, it is earnings income of family members, but there are others. There could be investment income, in other words, cash flows from things like stocks and bonds or bank CDs. It could be rental income from an investment property. It could be gifts given to family members. It could be winning the lottery or gambling winnings. It could be an award settlement in a lawsuit. It could be an inheritance, or you could be a beneficiary from someone's life insurance policy. In any case, some of these are very predictable and others are really hard to predict. Okay, now we're ready to talk about creating our budget. Let me preface this with rule number one. This is a big one. Make conservative assumptions in creating a budget. What is a conservative assumption? For cash inflows, it is never overstate them. Understating them is a better mistake than overstating them. Why? Simply because if you understate inflows, the penalty for being wrong is having extra money on hand. Not such a bad thing. Whereas the penalty for overstating inflows could be that you don't have enough money to meet your budget, and the whole purpose of the exercise is not to allow that to happen. So in planning a budget, get the pencil and paper ready and start listing the cash flows that are considered mostly certain. Earnings income is highly predictable, so we can start with that. Now, even though that can change as jobs change for different reasons, to plan a budget, we must assume some static or likely scenarios. So I would total up all the reliable sources of incomes from family members. Now, we might have to estimate things like commissions and investment income, things that might vary from time to time. So I would suggest being conservative in such estimates for the reason that we already gave earlier. Unless we are the regular beneficiary of gifts with reasonably certain amounts and timeliness, like a parental gift or that from a grandmother, like a stipend or an allowance, I would not count gifts in general in my budget unless it is agreed upon and a predictable event. We want to include the known cash flows from our investments like interest income, stock dividends, and rental income. So then we can total up all our known cash inflows, and we can wind up with cash inflow estimates per week, per month, and per year. And that is a good first step to the budgeting process. So it is not only important to know how much is coming in, but it's equally important to know when the inflows are expected to occur. Now, one final thought before we move on to outflows. Here is rule number 2. All budgets are rigid and flexible. The rigidity refers to us sticking to our budgets. In other words, that we have to go all out to stay on budget. However, there is some flexibility necessary. When a random event does occur, like a surprise inflow, like someone passing on and leaving us 50 grand, or a negative surprise, like someone losing their job, then we must have the flexibility to adjust our budget because of such unexpected flows. And that is why before I said that when creating a budget, only project the inflows that you are certain about, because if the unexpected flow does occur, then you do have the ability to redo the budget. So budgets are meant to be flexible and revised. And so on that, I'm ending, and lots more to come. Thank you very much.